the upper guys are trying to do with time. That they think of it that maybe there's an approach that can get them a solution outside of our current time by going back and monkeying around with a previous time. Again, their perspective is slightly skewed. If you think of the Big Bang, then you're thinking of a giant space that has nothing in it that has to be filled up by all the atoms that are blasting themselves out of all the suns and stuff, and it's an erroneous view of reality. Because you also think of space-time as a single unit like that, where this giant empty space exists, filled with nothing except for time. And as you flow into it, you use up the time as you're flowing through it. That's basically their understanding, and that affects the string theory and all of that, and they're all wrong. What happens is that time is a function of the individual little bloop creation of matter, anything from a hydrogen atom to any other atom. Not only do the atoms bring along their own gravity, and the gravity exists in that little bloop of the atom itself, but they also bring along their own time. Now, time is different than gravity. They share one thing in common, and that is that they can interact with that element within other little bloops. So in other words, gravity within every one of my cells and every one of the cells in the materium can interact with the gravity in every other cell that is within its proximity, or even non-proximity. The non-local effect is achieved this way. Because the gravity within any given little bloop can interact with any other given little bloop, a la Indra's net, where all the little bloops can see each other at this consciousness level, and can be manipulated that way. Same thing is true of time. The time within an individual little bloop cell atom interacts with the grander collection of all of the other cells, and the time interact with that grander collection of time. That's where the difference exists. The gravities interact with each other at a quanta level, and we perceive gravity in a grander scale as a abstraction that it can be expressed on all of universe, not recognizing that it really only exists within the two little bloops that are interacting with each other. Time, on the other hand, does exist at a grander scale, and does not interact with each other at the little bloop level. It only interacts with each other at the little bloop to grander scale level. So it's an interesting duality there, where they're very similar, but they're also different in terms of how that expression comes about. Been taking a lot of your time here on this, speaking of time, as we do frequently. But the whole idea of the complexity and the issues we've got going with the New World Order is going to become very acute here as we go over these next couple of months, and we'll all see this. The awakening population issue is, I'm pretty sure, is a tactic that's being employed by the larger consciousness to put pressure at a different and lower level that actually has created a certain opening, if you will, I think, in the minds of some of the Council on Fucked Up Relations and the New World Order types. It doesn't matter, by the way. I'm not opposed to the individuals. If I had to sit down as a representative of the regular humans to sit down and negotiate with some of these fucked up, fucktard bastards, I would not express that level of disrespect to them as individuals. But it's okay for me to do so collectively. So this is a different form of prejudice, if you will, in the sense that I would never castigate an individual because an individual's intent and motivation and circumstances and their own karma are beyond their ability to affect, and so to a certain extent all beings are cut some slack because of the karmic level. However, collectively, and this is also how they it's quite okay to label them. But the issue of the labeling, once it's applied to the individual, that's like Voltaire says, if you believe the absurdity that you're facing a communist or a Catholic or a Christian or a Muslim or a Jew or, a black or a white or an Asian or a green or a yellow or, whatever, as opposed to a human, then you're listening to the absurdities, and they can get you to create cause atrocities against that person by getting you to believe that larger label is what stands before you and not the human. And so whenever I'm faced with a human, I see the human. However, in an abstraction, it is very nice to be able to consider these individuals as, the Council on Fucked Up Relations, because it collectively states our understand, or it states an understanding that collectively these individuals are behaving as fucktards. And individuals, many of them probably don't wish to behave as fucktards. and would would go along with us, but the organization has them trapped. And this is where we cut them all some slack. Yes, it's an evil, nasty, rotten bastard dictator, but Hitler liked animals. Hitler was a vegetarian. Hitler as a human was different than Hitler as the representative of the fucked up system that he was trapped within. Exists. This is why I don't like representation. I don't like organizations that way. Any organization I join, which is the only one I've ever joined, is this world government thing, has to be absolutely flat with no hierarchy, no imposition of authority, etc. Human to human, because that's the way the universe is. There is no greater authority than you as an individual within your own world. If you perceive, for instance, the world as the Big Bangers would have you understand it, you are merely a small thing within this giant microcosm, or macrocosm. You are the microcosm that is, you are micro. Look at it the other way, though. Look at it from the little bloop standpoint, and you see how vital you are. The space that you occupy does not exist without you occupying it. Therefore, you are vital, absolutely vital, to that functioning component of universe. Universe created you because it needed you. Hey, it's like, there is purpose here. And universe created your atoms so that you would have the ability to exercise that purpose as your karma and it deems fit. But look how vital you are. Universe does the part of universe that you occupy does not exist without you. This is a very key concept because it allows you to reframe yourself. Yes, we're infinitesimally small against the grander collective that is the materium. How could it be otherwise? But again, collectively, if we all exit the materium does not exist. It resolves back down to a single little atom, a single little bloop, and does not exist in any way, shape, or form without all the beings within it. So collectively and individually, we are so vital to it that our perspective as owners of the universe is quite valid. We own the universe in which we are participating. And it is every bit as valid for us to exert our ownership of universe as it is for the, Council on Fucked Up Relations to think that they can exert their influence on universe. And this is where they've suddenly run into a real problem. Not only do they have their minions and everybody getting shit from all of us as we wake up and cause others to wake up, and that process itself seems to be growing and gaining strength, and that's got them scared. But they've got the imposition of chaos or order, I don't know which way it's coming, from outside of them in terms of they have involved themselves wittingly, willingly, or not, and they've involved us via species connection with this interplanetary war or interdimensional, or however you want to think of it, war that's going on our planet and above our heads and out in the solar system. And they're not doing well. These guys, because of their paradigm, have locked themselves into a stupid position. They can't see all the alternatives that are available to them at all, and are basically screwing all of us because they're into the management of little boxes in that view of reality. What we need to do is, what would be nice if we could do it, I don't think it'll occur, is that we could meet with these guys, get them onto the mat, get some of the issues out, deal with the emotions, settle down, then sit down and come up with a common understanding of where we're at, and throw some suggestions that these guys cannot possibly see. And off we go. Now, in reality, our data suggests otherwise. Our data suggests that the compartmentalized, boxed-in guys are going to crumble and fall into disarray as the whole little box system of systems becomes systemically unstable and comes unglued over these next 5 months, during which we'll be struck by some level of earth changes, natural or otherwise, whether it's an attack from the interdimensional guys, or it's actually the expulsion of stuff from the sun. We can't tell from our viewpoint of the data. We just know it will occur by June 1. I have reasons to suspect that the more likely period is April and May. Probably end of April, early part of May. Gives us a few months. However, we know that the derivative explosion stuff will occur, is most likely to occur before Obama's next swearing-in flub up. And therefore, any kind of currency level preparations you may have in mind need to be addressed fairly rapidly. as from that point on, hyperinflation will occur from January period on when the derivative explodes. This firefighting derivative or something related to fires or, firemen's pensions funds, I don't know, something related to firefighters. When it explodes, that is the trigger that sets off this rampaging hyperinflation that will, over the course of the next couple of months, cause governments to fall, social unrest, all kinds of problems. So we're here now, folks, and it's really going to start unraveling. There's a lot you can still do, even within the midst of all the chaos, even without money. Education is what is going to keep people alive. Understanding and knowing things will keep people alive. The ability to store food and all of that kind of stuff will not necessarily help you. Not only are there earth changes, but I'm quite convinced that the interplanetary war is going to intrude on all of us down here probably from June onward of next year, but we'll certainly get there. At that point, we have, again, social unrest, diaspora, vast movements of people, all of this kind of thing. So it's going to be a real interesting period. And we shall have a whole lot of fun with it, bearing in mind, of course, we are eternal. As our little atoms exit this materium, our consciousness merely returns back to the other side and resets for the next appearance. And so you can, to a certain extent, have a bit of freedom. Death is what makes life worth having. And we're going to get to see a lot of opportunities to deal with our interaction with it and that level of change over these next few months. It's going to be very exciting. Last thing is let's get in shape for it, I guess. And you'll know fairly quick within the next month or so that the projections are accurate as we see the real degradation of the economic system. At that point, if you've heard this talk, then you'll know that, okay, within a couple of months of that, we're going to have a very large set of earth changes that occur, natural or unnatural. And from that point on, government won't exist. The Council on the Fucked Up Relations guys won't exist. Queen of England won't exist, as far as I know. If she does, it's like, boy, I'd hate to be trapped in Britain after the coastal event with all those pissed off Brits if I were royalty. So anyway, it's going to be a very interesting time, and we'll all collect and gather notes over this year and say, wow, it's 2013, and I guess you want to say disclosure, although it won't happen the way that Wilcock and all these other, exopolitics guys think it's going to occur. It's going to be entirely different, and I don't know how much they're going to like it. But somebody who's really into excitement and violence and the expression of universe that way, not in terms of interpersonal violence. I like the violent expression of universe, fierce weather, strong winds, that kind of thing. As universe changes, it's nice. It gets your attention, something to do. And so I'm going to settle back, have a cup of tea, get some food, take care of Kathy for a while. Got her back from the hospital. Things are good. We're going to really hit recovery this time. And we're going to do some work. I've got a few projects here, so let's see if we can't get some stuff created and out the door. But right at the moment, the big furfuses are saying food, food, food. So, bye, guys. And pay attention to this complexity versus simplicity argument. It really is important.